uncomfortable. You want to pass down the socks. They have been worn, I promise. Shoes that's nice and smooth. So soldiers that are fighting here, particularly across Devil's Den, and little round top describes sliding across the field and across the rocks. The only thing that you're really going to get is the heel plates kind of trying to catch yourself, but that's not a lot, so they're still going to be able to slip and slide. But what do you think if you had too small shoes? What do you think you'd want to do? Cut the toes off. Absolutely, they actually would. You cut the toes off. But what happens if you march through a creek? You have wet feet. You want to march 30 miles on wet feet? No, probably not. Because not only are you going to have very sore feet, but if anyone's been in the tub a little too long and get a little bit wrinkly, the last thing you want to do is hike 30 miles after that. It's going to not only damage the skin and damage your feet, but you're also going to get blisters, blood blisters, and soldiers describe as they're trying to march quickly that they're actually going to be taking they're known as brogans, the shoes, off and pouring the blood out as they are marching because they have to continue. One thing that they also want to do is not only have one pair of socks, but probably two, because as soon as you stop, the first thing you want to do before you eat, before you sleep, before you write a letter, anything you want to do is to change your socks for all the reasons that I just listed. You don't want to have your feet chewed up. So there's a wall right there behind the fireplace that's on both floors, and on the other side of that wall are 4 more rooms, and those are for a different family, and we'll talk about them later. Here in George's parlor, she did have a bed during the battle. She was still in the bed, mostly holding her baby in that bed, her newborn baby, her son. She was supposed to stay in the bed for several weeks after having a baby. Back in those days they did that. So Mrs. Wade was here taking care of her. Now I do want you to know this isn't the same bed she was in. Unfortunately, we don't have most of the same furniture that they owned when they lived here, but hers might have looked something like this one. Before I go on with the story, let me show you some pictures. There is Jenny over the fireplace. Now that was probably copied from the photograph on the wall over there by the window. We have George's husband in that picture over there on the wall, John Lewis McClellan. He was serving in the Union Army when they got married, so he wasn't living here with Georgia very often. He was not anywhere close by during the Battle of Gettysburg. His unit was serving in the war elsewhere. That evening, things were noisy again. There was fighting going on right at the top of Cemetery Hill, and that was right up here, not very far away. So there was battle going on right there, cannons firing, gunfire, soldiers yelling and screaming and hitting each other with rocks and their guns after dark. So very, very frightening for them again. The next morning on July 3rd, which was going to be Jenny's last morning, she took Harry with her out in the yard about 4:30. They needed water to drink and they needed firewood in here, so they slipped out before it got too light, and they got those things and they brought them in the house. Then Georgia said, suddenly as they were having their breakfast about 7 o'clock, bullets began coming through the windows here on this side, through the parlor window, through the kitchen window out there. Those bullets fired from the edge of town were coming across the room. You can see right there on the fireplace. There is one right there on the left. There's a hole over there. There's other damage there that have been repaired. There are some holes in the doors out here in this room. So that was getting even worse. Georgia said it got even worse than that. A bullet bounced off the bedpost and landed right on the pillow next to her and her baby. So it was a very close call for them. Now Georgia was getting pretty upset about all this, because when Jenny started to read verses from the Bible to her family and those verses mentioned times of danger, times of trouble, Georgia protested. She asked her mother to make Jenny stop reading it because she just couldn't stand to hear anything about danger. So Jenny stopped reading. She put down her Bible, but she said to her family, and Georgia remembered this, Jenny said, well, if anyone is to be killed in this house today, I hope that is me, as Georgia has that little baby. And Georgia said those were about Jenny's last words. After she said that, Jenny went to the kitchen out there. A soldier had come a little earlier, a Union soldier, and she had promised him she would mix up a batch of biscuits for him. Her bread dough she was making wasn't ready to put in the fire yet to bake, so she told him to come back for biscuits. They could bake up pretty quickly. So she went out there to do that. So we are ready to move to the kitchen. You follow me and I'll tell you what happened to Jenny. See where she did her cooking and baking? So Jenny's mother came into the kitchen with her that morning, and Mrs. Wade was getting the fire built up for Jenny's biscuits and her bread to make those. Jenny was standing over here using this box. It's right here. This is called a dough trough or a bread tray. It's different names, but it is what they use to make their bread dough in, or biscuit dough. And this one is George's, one of the few things we do have that's from that time. And Georgia said Jenny had it over here in this side of the kitchen. She was standing behind this door. She had that door standing straight out, so she probably thought that was going to protect her from anything that might, any bullets that might come through that door over there or through the window, but it didn't work because as she was bending over that dough trough, kneading that biscuit dough, a bullet crashed through the outer
Video. It's not.
They wrapped up Jenny's body in that quilt and they carried her to the cellar. Same way we came up the steps, put her through that hole in the wall, and they carried her down to the cellar too. So let's step over to the other side of the house. Watch the bricks on the bottom. You don't have to crawl anymore. See that thing down there, the holding up the mattress? It is called a rope bed, from the rope under there. How many of you have heard someone say to you, good night, sleep tight? You heard that? Okay. You heard that? Okay. A lot of people have heard that little rhyme. Even people from other countries tell me they've heard that little rhyme. So it's probably the most well-known saying in the whole world, I think. Good night, sleep tight. What does it mean to sleep tight?
Rope's tight.
I'm just going to guess that. Get the rope tight under your mattress. Tie it up tight because you don't want it sagging or being stretched out, or you won't sleep very well if your mattress is sagging. And what's the rest of the rhyme? Right. Well, they talk about bed bugs because inside your mattress you had something from outside, from the outdoors, from the fields or the yard. Who wants to come feel what's in there?
Straw.
Anybody? You're welcome to do that if you want. See, it's kind of crunchy, isn't it? That has straw in it. Could be dried leaves if they didn't have straw. Could be corn husks from the cornfields if they had that available. So something from outdoors, and maybe that's what the bugs were hiding in. And they got in your mattress. Now, how do you get them out of there? If you were lucky, you had this type of bed. This has something you can use on your bed bugs. This is a rolling pin headboard, and this sits right up there at the top. Just rests on there, and you can take it off, and you can do several things with it. You can get lumps out of your mattress. Just bang on it like that, get the lumps out. I think you can probably take care of some bed bugs too while you're doing that, right? Squash them in there. Who wants to show me? Anyone want to try it? Want to try it? Give you a chance. Just be careful of the ceiling.
You get your sibling to lay still.
Yeah. Maybe that's how they could have so many of them sleeping together. They had a rolling pin. Thank you. And who else wants to try rolling it? Anybody? You want to try it? No?
No.
Okay. Have to do it for you. They would just use it like a rolling pin, and that would smooth out their bed for them. Okay? So that was their rolling pin headboard. Now, here's a question, and I like to ask the young people this because sometimes we older folks have heard about these things, but who knows what the white thing is under the bed? Okay.
about us, and now I'm right back at